If you've never used Excel, this is going to be the video for you. To start off, we're just going to open the program. We go to our Start menu, Excel, click this, and it opens. Brings us right here. We're going to start with a blank workbook. There's a bunch of templates you can pick right here, old documents you've opened, things like that. You can do new. I just click here, blank workbook. And what this is exactly what it's called, a workbook. In the workbook, you have two different things. And we can zoom in here. You have columns, A, B, C, D. Then you have rows that are numbered. When someone says cell, which is where these intersect, A1, right here. If they said B1, right here. C5, you'd go to column C, row 5, right there. You can move around to any of these cells, which is where you're going to enter your data. And you can either move your mouse, click, or you can use the arrow keys. I prefer the arrow keys because there's faster ways you can do it. When you hold the control button, for example, you go all the way up and down. But anyway, in these cells is where you enter your data. So for example, if I had this one, sheet 1, press enter, or you can type in something like this and click another cell. Either way will work. And if you want to delete it, you can either mouse over it, hit delete, or backspace, or arrow key up and do the same thing. But let's say we needed another sheet. We have data on here, data set 1, enter, and we have another document, but we don't want to make another worksheet. You go right down here, these are called tabs, click the plus, and now you have another one. Data set 2. And if you click here, there's your original, there's the new one. And you can go here, delete those with a right click, click OK, it'll ask you. And after that, you've got what's called the ribbon. So right up here, this big jumble of buttons is called the ribbon, and there's different tabs on it. There's the home tab where you have your normal functions, your cut, copy, paste, things like that. Change your font just like with Word. You can go Calibri, click down, change it to a bunch of different things. And you'll see that it's changing right here on the left. You can change the font size from 11 to say whatever you want really. You can do, font size, up, down buttons, change the color of the font, things like that. But let's say you made it red, you didn't want that, you can just press this one, Control Z, undo, and there you go. You can also change the background of the cell, things like that. All your typical stuff you'll see in Word. Now let's say we have something that's too wide here. So you can go dataset 1, 1000 or whatever, we'll just do that. It's too wide for column A. You have two options. You can either press this and drag it, or you can double click right here and it widens it out for you. So that helps when you have something along the lines like this. Maybe it's column B. You see they bleed over. Double click here and there you're set. You can also do things like wrap text. So if you want this to be in here, you see it makes it go into one cell, it widens this one, and it will drop it down there. Merge and center, you can do a few other things there. Maybe you want this to go across both of those. You can do that. Now it's one cell, and you can click it again to undo it, and click it again to undo it. Next, we're going to go over some basic charts and graphs, different tabs. At first, we were on this home tab. That was our basic formatting. So with this, let's say we have this data set someone emailed to us. If we want this in bold, select it, B, bold it, and you could do a bunch of other things to it, conditional formatting, format it certain ways. For example, if we want these in dollars, select all of them, go to this drop down right here, and currency. There's that. Now we want a nice chart. You go to this tab here next to home, insert. After insert, you're going to go to select what you want, and you can pick your individual chart here. There's a bunch of different options. I normally go to recommended charts, click that, and it gives you a bunch of different options here. So really it's whatever you would prefer. Let's use a clustered column chart. You select that, press OK, and you have this. You can bring that right here, drag it around wherever you want. We can change things. So if you click on the title, sales, day of the week, click out of it, and there it is. And maybe you want to add labels. So we want these to have not just the vertical axis values here, but we want it displayed right over it. click on the columns, right click, press Add Data Labels, and there they are. Maybe you want to change the format. Click in the chart, and right above where it says Chart Design, that automatically changes to that. Hit this drop down, and you can go here. And gone are the days of having to play around with formatting, doing all that crazy different stuff that we used to have to do in Excel. Maybe we want to change these dollar signs. We want to change the color. Click that, right on one of the labels, right click, and then we'll go to Format Data Labels, and you'll see on the left side of the screen here, where is it? That pops up. After you get that, you're just going to go right here, and we can do text options, text outline. You can do a whole bunch of different things. Maybe I want to, let's add a glow. We'll do that. We'll make a glow in green. There's that. Text fill. We can make this white, and it pops a little bit. So when we go back to this, we see that our chart is pretty functional. We can make it change, and if we had next week, maybe there was another Monday through Sunday. So we go Monday, Tuesday, and you can do this. Drag it down. Excel will automatically fill when it detects a pattern. And maybe every day these sales increased from the previous week by 10%. We don't want to type that data in. Just hit equals, select the one you want, this, times 1.10, which is 110%. And then the nice thing is, instead of copying or instead of typing that each time, you just drag this button right down. Here we are. Everything is growing by 10% from the last week, but we want to update our chart. So you can click on the chart, and the other thing is, you right on this nub, you grab it again, drag it on down. Now we have 2 weeks of sales data. You can expand this. Maybe we click the chart. Again, grab the little button on the bottom, stretch it out, let it go. There's our chart. If you want to add things like a trend line, you can click this, chart design, add chart element, and you can do a trend line. You can even click on it, and just like with these, click here, change the color. You can do something like outline. Let's make it green. Let's make it yellow. There's our nice trend line, good upward sales trend. That's how we're going to do basic charts and graphs in Excel. Now we're going to do a few more of Excel's functions and show why it's such a powerful tool and very flexible. Let's say we want the average of every single day here. We go equals average. We can click right here, click it twice, and you'll just select the numbers you want. So we want an average of everything. All we're going to do is click and drag. Then we close the parentheses, hit enter. Average sales for every day, 144. If you want to see what cells this is using, just press the F2 button. There's the reference right there. Automatically shows it to you, and it's going to give you a nice visual indicator of what looks good. And sum, maybe we want to see what the sales were for the entire 2 days here. So we do another equal sign, and then sum. And you can double click this. And we'll just, again, select all the data we want, drag it down, close the parentheses, and press enter. Total was $2,016. The nice thing, too, is anytime you change one of these, so let's say 110, maybe it was 150, you'll see that these formulas that reference these ranges will automatically update. So I'm going to type 150, press enter, and you'll see these two numbers will change. And the chart does as well. So everything automatically updates, and as long as you set your references up in Excel, you take a little time on the front end, it's going to save you hours on the back end. Maybe we typed the wrong number. We can hit that Control Z button again, undo, everything gets right back to where it was. Right now, we're going to do one of the more interesting functions, average if. So it's just like the average, but maybe we want the average of only Wednesday. The first way we would do this is hit equals average. This is how I did it when I first started. You'd find the Wednesday, comma, then you go to the next Wednesday. Close the parentheses and press enter, 126. Except we don't want to do that. Maybe there's 4 Wednesdays. Maybe there's 10,000 rows of data. We don't want to go through each of those Wednesdays. So all we do equals average if, and you'll see that it pops into here. So the range we want right here is there. That's the conditional. And we'll press the F4 button. These dollar signs appear. And that means it's just a locked range. So if you, for some reason, needed to move this around over here or over there or change the cell that this data was entered in, it would still reference this range. It wouldn't move anything around. Now we have 2 things here. We can either click on this cell and press F4. So if it says Wednesday, it'll calculate it. So we'll try that. Then we select the range, average range. Press F4 again, close the parentheses, press enter. 126, so click on that and that Wednesday. And yep, we are still at 126 equals average Wednesday, just to double check. And it works. So if we wanted to change this, maybe we want to look at Thursday. All you do is take this Wednesday and you can drag it to Thursday, press enter, $136.50. And sum if works pretty much the same way, equals sum if the range right here. We'll press F4. Criteria, I want it to be Saturdays. F4 again, comma, and the sum range. We select that, so it's the exact same process. Nothing changes. The only difference is it's going to total everything in Saturday, except instead of averaging it like we did before. 378. And we want it to show dollars, so we go back here, Home tab, that, currency. What if we wanted to change? So instead of that, we can click right here in the formula bar. We will drag from Saturday to Friday, press enter, and it changes. And we'll know that by doing this on Friday. We'll change it from 170 to 180, so we'll be adding 10. This should add another 10. That's it. And you'll see the chart updates again. Everything does that automatically. Fantastic. Another great thing about Excel, after you get through the basics like we have with the Home tab, all the basic formulas here, being able to do things like picking different colors and formats, insert with basic charts and graphs. There's other tabs here. Draw, you might use that much. You probably won't use it a whole lot. Page layout, the same thing. Now, if you want to print something a different way, this is where you're going to go. You can see, where your page breaks are, remove them. You can view it in a different format, all that good stuff. It's not something I use very often, but on occasion, yeah, you will use it. But here's the one that's neat, formulas. So if you need to know what Excel can do in terms of average, sum, average if, sum if, maybe you didn't know any of those existed. Here's where you're going to find everything. You have a recently used one. So there's that. If you work in the financial industry or you need something along those lines, click right here. You've got accrued interest and all this different stuff, declining balance, so depreciation, duration if you work in the fixed income sector, future value, really a whole bunch of different financial functions that pretty much runs the gamut. Logical, so and functions, lambda, let, make array, things like that. If error, if, like we just had. And you can go text. So if you're working with text items and you want to change things, so this one's actually pretty interesting, proper. We'll use that for example. Right now we have, let's see, Excel. And maybe we want this into, we want it to just be a capital E, so we want it to read like this, Excel. We don't want to type it out, we don't want to delete it, we just want it to work. So we go equals, actually let's do this, text, click on proper, so equals proper, and where are we going to make it reference? Just click right here, press OK, Excel. And there it is. So you see, it'll fix a whole lot of things for you if there's misspellings, if there's someone's written everything in all capital letters, things like that. And yeah, it'll do that on a really rapid pace for you. Date and time, so you can calculate days, end of date, end of month, things like that, even down to the hour. There's really a million different functions you can use, and they're all pretty flexible. It's pretty neat what you can and can't do with this. Lookup and reference, if you need an address, if you need to use certain values and filter things. If you want to match different cells and see if it's an exact match. If you want to transpose something, this is also pretty interesting. Maybe we want these items here to be listed horizontally. So we go and select these, and we can copy them. Actually, you know what? No, we'll do this. So we're going to go with lookup and reference, transpose. What do we want to transpose? All of these. Select them, press OK. There they are, listed horizontally. You don't have to copy them, you don't have to paste them. Another trick though, you can select these, Control C and copy, or you can right click and press copy. Then you can go right here and left click, and you're going to see this one. It's got the paper, clipboard, and it has an arrow that goes down and an arrow that goes right. Click that, and it does the same thing. So the cool thing about Excel is there's a million ways to get to the same answer. It's sort of like how everyone has their own process at work. There's really not a right and a wrong way as long as you get to the same result. So you'll have to play around with it and experiment. You'll see a little bit more here and there. Math and trigonometry, a bunch of stuff like that, aggregate, Arabic. If you want to change something to a certain type of character, you can do other things like this. You have some calculus, trigonometry. You can round numbers up. So let's say you have this one, and you want this rounded up to the nearest dollar. We'll go math, round, so we just look down here. And you know what? We'll go with round up. What number do we want it to round? This one. And how many digits? We'll go to 0 digits. So it's at 136.5. It's going to round it to 137. It gives you a preview of everything here. Press OK. There it is. So there's, oh gosh, I can't even tell you how many functions there are in here. I believe there's over 360. So depending on what your industry is, it's all pretty much there. So you've just got to take a look and see what's in there and find out what works for you. And the more you play around with it, the more you're going to be able to figure out how you'd like to do it. Now I'm going to show you a neat little trick in the data tab. Let's say we have words like this, average if and sum if, and perhaps they're right here. We want average in this column, and we want if here, we want sum in this column, and we want if in this column. You just select these, go to the data tab, and you're going to hit text to columns. What it'll do is it'll give you an option here, and all we're going to do is make Excel split this based on a criteria into different columns. So we'll use the space. So we're going to use delimited. That means we're looking for a specific character, characters like commas, tabs, stuff like that. Hit next, and we want to use a space. So we click space, and you see that it automatically splits it here. Press next. Then it's going to show you an example. Hit finish. There it is, average, sum, if, and if. It's automatically done it for you, and it's formatted perfectly. The other thing you can do with this is if you go to, let's say, view, maybe we want to see where the page breaks are. We're going to print this out. Click that, and you'll see that if we printed this out, one page goes here and cuts off there. So that's not exactly going to work. You can grab this and stretch it out. Now it's all one page. It'll appear smaller, but you'll probably want to print it in landscape view, that type of thing. Another thing you can do, go back to normal view, and if you want these grid lines gone, just go view tab again, grid lines, it's gone. Maybe you want this to have borders. Select this, back to the home tab, and we click right here. What borders do we want? We want to make everything have borders, all borders. And there's that. You can also format this, select it, and maybe we want it to show up in the center. We click here. Just like with Microsoft Word, align to the center. There it is. We can also highlight, you select this, and there's a bunch of pre-coded options here. So instead of playing around with formatting, hit this drop down and it gives you a bunch of different options. And maybe we want to make all the Mondays look like this. Select what you'd like, what the formatting is, hit Format Painter. Then you just find another Monday or whatever you'd like, click that, and it magically works. You can also make it go back right there, Format Painter, click that, Format Painter, click that. And we're back to normal. Now we're going to use a neat function called a Vlookup. And what this is if you need to find a specific reference, say a date, for example, in this case, it's going to automatically find it for you. Let's say this Monday was the 1st. 2, 3. And also we can go here, select this nub. Excel is going to detect that pattern, the first 14 days of the month. So with VLOOKUP, what we're going to do is I want to find the 8th day. What were the sales? So we can do this. Formula, lookup and reference, and we can go to VLOOKUP, or I should say lookup. VLOOKUP right there. What do we want to find? We want to find the 8th. So we click 8, and we know there's an 8 in here. Table array, where is everything? So we have to pick all the stuff that the data is in, and we'll hit F4 again just to keep it referenced with the dollar signs so it doesn't move. Column index number. When it finds that 8 that we're looking up right here, that's C32, that 8 value, how far do we want it to go over? So this is the first column where the 8 is. We want it to go over 2 columns, but that's the third column. This is column 1, column 2, and column 3. So we press 3, and right here, for example, it's going to give you the exact thing. So when we find the 8, it's going to show 110. It gives you an example right here, 110. So you can do a little dry run with your formulas here. And this is another optional input. That's why it's not highlighted in bold here. So we can make it true or false. So I want an exact match. When we just read this, is logical value. To find the closest match in the first column, sorted in ascending order, true or omitted. Find an exact match equals false. I like to do false, so I will caps lock this, F-A-L, false. I hit OK, and we see we get our 110. And again, to use that format painter again, we'll go here, format painter, and we'll keep it consistent. So we have this on the 8th, but the cool thing about a VLOOKUP, maybe we want the date on the 10th. That should be Wednesday, and it'll be 132. So we just change this to 10. And then we can go here, the 14th, the Sunday. It'll turn to 165, which we see right here. That's a VLOOKUP. One of the coolest little functions in Excel, and for some reason, it's just one of the most useful ones I keep finding myself coming back to. Now we're going to use one of my favorite functions ever, pivot table. And the great thing about pivot tables is you don't have to memorize anything. It's super easy, and it makes your data analysis lightning fast. So all we'll do is this insert tab with your mouse, and it's the far left. So you go insert as far left as you can, and then it's going to ask you where you want your data. So I will go here, delete that. I want this data. So I just select all of it, and where do you want it? I'm going to put it in a new worksheet. Then you just hit OK. You get this. Doesn't look like anything right now. But right here, you'll see these column headers, date, day, and sales. Click on sheet 1, date, day, and sales. So we're just going to use those to organize. And then we're going to show sales. You can either click this box, and it pops into where it thinks the correct amount is. Right now it's totaling everything. 2016. 2016. So you see it's a sum. We can change that. If we click on this drop down with the arrow, go value field settings, maybe I want to see the average. Okay, 144. We see that matches there. So you can change it up and make it a flexible thing. We'll hit that button, go back to sum, and I want to see the date. I will go here, and I'll just drag this. You can click it and it'll autofill. It doesn't always show you the right place though. Even if it does that, you just click this. Once it highlights, drag it right over there, let it go. So 1st through the 14th, each day's sales. And then you can change the formatting by selecting again. And then we just go right here on the Home tab, drop down, currency. We've got pretty much that table. And maybe we want our days, but we want them listed here. So right now we have them vertically in the original table, but we want them to show horizontally. So we want Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and so on. You can just drag this right there. We see that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it'll show you a sum right here, a grand total for each day, the totals for each individual day, how much they go across right here, or by date, and you'll have your day totals as well and your grand totals. And you can also format this pretty easily, but you see how it's flexible to move this? Maybe we want to see these reversed. So we'll go this, drag it here, day, and we'll drag date to columns. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And we've got our dates. So you can really flexibly edit your data in almost real time. It's insane. I love these things. It's probably one of the most used functions I have. But maybe we want to spruce this up before we send it off to the boss. So you click anywhere in the table. It does not matter. I'm going to pick right here on lucky number 7. And then you'll see when you click in a pivot table, these show up. Pivot table analyze and design. We're going to click design. And maybe I want a different color. So you click this drop down right here, just like we did with the charts with the formatting. And I'll pick this one. I like that color. Nice, easy on the eyes. Then I want just maybe some, let's say rows and columns. I want some borders in there. You can just click these automatic selections, banded rows, banded columns. And to me, it breaks it out much easier. But you've got this flexible data set that you can change and format in seconds. It's just one of the best things in Excel. I'd suggest you really look into pivot tables. We've got a couple other great videos on it. And all you got to do, click on them, 5 minutes, you'll be a wizard. The last thing I want to show you in here is conditional formatting. And what's cool about this is you can pick anything you want to highlight. Let's say, what are all the even numbers in here? I only want even numbers, or yeah, so you can do that. So we'll say you go here and 165, 150. So you see this will be an even, 121, that won't be an even. So what you can do is select this, and maybe you just want it in this range. It's flexible. You could do this range. You could do everything. It doesn't matter. We're only going to do this range for the sake of argument. On the Home tab, conditional formatting, and you'll have different options here. There's a couple things you can do. Highlight cell rules. So you can go greater than. So yeah, if you wanted something that's over 150, click greater than, type 150, and you can pick the color. So we'll make them green, hit OK, and you see that those all change. And also, if any of this data updates when you throw in new data, it'll continue to keep that formatting, so it'll do stuff like that. It's really awesome. We can go here, conditional formatting again, clear rules, and clear it from the cells. It's gone. Right now, conditional formatting. We're going to do color scales, and you can do different things here. It'll give you a bunch of options. You'll have to play around with it and see what you prefer. Like certain formats work better for other things. There's data bars that represent it as kind of a percentage of the total, different colors, all that. Icon sets. You can really get as flexible as you want with it, or as creative as you'd like. It just kind of depends. Right here, we'll do this. Values. And you can do things like, you can really change percentiles, all this stuff. Instead of the even ones, we're just going to look at that example there. Maybe I want these ones, conditional formatting, and I'll do color scales. Yeah, so the larger the number, it's green. Maybe we want to flip that. Now the larger numbers are the red ones. But you can change it pretty much how you want, and conditional formatting is a great way to keep your formatting consistent and rule-based and something that you don't have to update.